Okay, it's a little bit after 6 p.m. Today's November 16th, 2023, and this is the meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. Tonight we're going to talk about the Police and Communications Department, which includes Police Department communications, animal control, and any capital outlays. Who's going to be the speaker tonight, Chief?
I'm going to have the people that formulated this and
Talk about it.
the working force behind it.
Maybe you can
Captain.
introduce the new commissioner.
Mr. Kevin Duffy.
Welcome. That's okay.
I'll defer to the captain and Sherry.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
You gonna lead us, the new commissioner?
There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Tom, for the reminder. Okay, Captain, go ahead if you want to give us a little breakdown.
Regarding the budget?
Yeah, if you want to talk generally what's been going on with the PD as far as activity or changes or anything like that that you want to bring us up to date on.
So right now, so you guys know, on paper, we're full staff. But we have one graduating the academy tomorrow. So then we'll start the FTO, which is about 11 weeks from, we'll finish in 11 weeks, 8 to 11 weeks, depending on that. We have another one going in January, so Amanda Johnson, so we're down, I say we're down 2 officers, but on paper we're full staff, which is a good thing. So that's the big changes this year. I mean, other than that, dispatch, we had permanent part-time, we had a change in the permanent part-time position. Rebecca Bear went back to part-time, she got a full-time job in another dispatch center.
Okay.
Which is good. And Carrie Crane came in as the permanent part-time, and she just finished her FTO about 2 weeks ago. So you'll notice this in the 2023 budget, the overtime for dispatch is much higher than it usually is, but the part-time is down. So it kind of evened out 16,000, 16,000, so.
Now, I heard some plans that you guys are moving to the hospital eventually when they start working in the building.
The dispatch center is planned on moving over there.
When is that been projected to be? Do you have any idea?
March, yeah, March, April.
Okay.
So that's the goal. So when they finish the phase 1 of our building in March, which is the back, what they're doing right now for the fire department, in the bays.
Yeah.
So once they finish that and start knocking down that second phase, which is the bays they currently have, and then it'll start getting really loud, which is loud right now, don't get me wrong. But it would be nice to get them out by that time.
Now, is the new console, has that been ordered or is that in or
Yeah, it's been ordered and we're just waiting for it.
what do you figure? A couple of months or?
They said 6 months to a year.
Okay.
So as everything plans out, it would be perfectly, they'll set it up down there, down that 2-way down in Newington. Portsmouth, go down, please.
Yep.
And our dispatchers will be able to go down there and train
Oh, that's
with the
good.
new console. And then phase 3 should be done, so they're talking, if phase 1 finishes in March, you're talking maybe another year from that point, year and a half, a little bit less than that.
Okay.
It's a 2-year project.
John?
Yes, sir.
Question?
Yeah, sure.
Captain, planned attrition or unplanned attrition, is that in your budget? Do you contemplate that? You know, you say you're at full strength now, you got people coming out of the academy. When you sit down, you do your budget, do you plan on how many people are not gonna be here mid-year and how you intend to backfill them?
Well, we hopefully everybody stays here. That's the plan. That's what we want.
So the assumption in your budget
Yep.
is you're gonna be at 100% head count for the year.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
we
you're
have a
asking
little.
about attrition,
Well,
not,
yes,
not resignations or,
I'm asking, well, attrition could be a resignation, unplanned, forced, but you're saying that you're gonna be at full complement for the entire year.
That's our goal.
Okey-doke. Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Just as a follow-up, does that track with your history?
Lately, no.
So what about the new history is different from the old history?
So we had some retirements, we don't have any planned on retirements that I know about, going into the new year. But we did have 2 officers leave that were not in retirement. They went somewhere else. One went back to Mass and one went local around here. The only plan that we have for a new officer to go into that position, we do have some money in the uniform allowance to cover that, if we do lose somebody.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, let's start from Police Department, 100 series.
Yes, John.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this one kind of jumps off the page at us. 113 supervisory salaries. I do see that a third person was brought into that line. I do not see a large dunk in hourly wages, and that might be a result of bringing a school resource officer on. But it's a healthy jump. The wage increases look kind of fat to me.
Yeah, so what we did is,
I'd like to finish, please.
oh, sorry.
So one gentleman is up 8.2%. The second one is up 12.6%. And then I want to slide down to your prosecutor, Mr. Morgan. He's up 8%, and he's a part-time prosecutor. And he's up to $91,000 for a part-time job. Now, John, do we have any other prosecutors around the lake, not counting Laconia, the other 6 towns, do they have their own prosecutors?
I think Conway probably has a police officer do theirs. I know they had an attorney at one time, but I think it's switched to a police officer. That's the only one. It's my understanding the county attorney office does all the domestic violence cases.
That's true.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so does our prosecutor have a heavy caseload?
Yes. Yeah, he does all adult and juvenile.
I guess I watched a meeting the other day, and it was 6 tickets for 1 month. 6 motor vehicle tickets.
Yep.
What does he do?
Arrest.
Yeah,
So
but how many arrests? That's what I can't figure out.
We just had a commissioners meeting. So the arrests were up for last month. I just put it back.
I think the ticket was just because I sent out from the summer. I think
29
that's
arrests
not
for the month of
standard.
October.
Yeah, so we had 29 arrests for the month of October.
What type of arrests are they? Just
A
general?
lot of it's, comes out-
Felonies or
misdemeanors.
misdemeanors?
Yeah, and some violations depending on motor vehicle infractions, so, which will go to court. If you have a lot of DUIs,
And is that, is the 29, is that a normal month, an abnormal month? Trends to a yearly figure of over 320 arrests?
I think that's about average.
About average?
Yeah.
And, go ahead, Mr. Tom.
And I know we went up in arrests from September to October, but it fluctuates as you keep going.
prosecutor is not working just on new cases, he's got a whole
Yeah.
fleet that are kind of in the pipeline.
Yeah, and then the summertime, we have a lot of parking issues in the site. And then he has to deal with all that when it comes into September.
What do the other towns that don't have prosecutors, how do they do it? They have an officer?
They have a department member do it, and of course, he's a member of the bar. He does the arraignments, pre-trial conferences, the actual trials, if there are some, and he spends a lot of time answering motions and orders from the court. He's been a valuable asset to this department.
If you didn't have one, what would happen?
You'd be taking a police officer off the street. First, you'd have to train him up through police standards and training, and he'd be lost to other duties while he's at court.
If Just to answer your question, Paul, I think in Stratford County, the county attorney's office provides a prosecutor for the court, and each town kicks in a certain amount of money. We're at 90,000, and that's almost what the county attorney makes.
Yeah.
And he does felonies and, in Superior Court.
So, and I'm not climbing inside of my colleague's mind down at the end, that's hard to do. But I think the question, that's on the table is, for the money spent, for the volume of activity undertaken, does this make sense for the town of Wolfeboro? And this could be a more data kind of a question. Or it could be not, but it seems to me I think that's the question, right? Are we getting, I hate to use the word buck and bang, are we getting the right, appropriate amount of result for the compensation we're paying for the work that's being done? Is that the question?
Well, that's the bottom line, plus
Yeah.
the fact, we're one of the few towns that has one, that's where I was going. I mean, John, has been in the law enforcement business
For
for
decades,
Right.
centuries.
Right. Centuries, right, and so that's why and when you see a part-time job get up to $91,000, you say, well, this is, maybe there's a better way.
So, question for the commissioners, I mean, you pray over this, and the Board of Selectmen simply presides over the overtime and makes adjustments there, but where do you guys come out on this?
That's been my
Or
experience.
is it more data?
Well, we can go back and we can bring the data forward. But, the arrests vary each month. They've been as high so far as 35 this year, a month, and down as, I think the month before in September, they were down at maybe 13. It all depends, but not everything, ends in an arrest, but it could end up in court. And then, there's a lot of time that's spent, so when I do stop in the station, I stop in and I talk with Prosecutor Morgan and ask him how he's doing. And there's a lot of time, motions and preparing for cases and so forth, before he even gets to it. So there's a lot of work that he does, and we get a lot more out of him than probably what we should expect. I mean, he's just a very dedicated individual and has done very well in prosecutions. Obviously, if a decision was made, or to not have a prosecutor locally and to do something different, or in this case, if it was decided that the police officer should be the prosecutor, then we'll probably be back looking for another police officer, so we can stay staffed at the current level if somebody's going to be dedicated to that, because that's not going to be a 5-minute-a-day job for police officers.
So
they're going to be dedicated to
Do we have to be all or nothing? Could we have a officer do the more menial tasks and then have the prosecutor focus on the more egregious and the more important tasks?
It's still time away from primary responsibilities.
Yeah, there's time slice.
Step in office would be half a day.
Review and discovery and all that stuff, it takes time.
Yeah, well, I did it for years, and the town I worked in had a little more activity than you see here. We did a little under 1,000 arrests a year, and I did it myself. And I probably averaged 50 hours a week, just myself doing it. That was without a secretary, without any kind of assistance at all. And we did, years later, hire a prosecutor. And there's different ways to do it, or an attorney, I should say. And so I wasn't here when this system was developed. I wasn't a member of the board, but there was different ways. Some towns contract with an attorney, and like, where I know one particular attorney contracts with several communities. So in essence, they're sharing his costs. So
That's, I think what you said, John, that's what they do in Stratford, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, with the
somehow
county
it's
attorney's
shared.
office.
But at the end of the day, if I hear you correctly, at the end of the day, the number of 90 doesn't go to 0. The number of 90 could either stay at 90 or it goes to something lower than 90. And if you want a time slice and have a patrol person go out and do it, you're just going to take somebody off the street that people complain about, that they don't see enough of them on the street. So I guess I come away from this kind of almost where you're going. More data would help that says it's meaningful to have this individual. Now, I know we haven't done this with other people. We kind of have waited for you to do this. But, we have this momentum thing. We've always done it this way. You know, it's the way we think. And I don't know if this prosecutor notion is that we've always done it this way, therefore we want to keep doing it. But there's enough doubt or question, I shouldn't be doubt, questions about, are we getting a yield out of this person? Maybe it's a more data thing. And if that makes sense, maybe we come back and revisit it.
When you're the only one, though, the first thing you do is ask a question. I used to process my own arrest and hand it off, and it would go to the county attorney who
Yeah, but you had
prosecuted.
NYPD. I mean,
Well,
you
it's
had
not-
NYPD
it's-
Blue. You had all that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a little similar to that, but you know, I would venture to say that well over 90% of these cases are pled out anyway, right? There's probably very few trials compared to the number of arrests we have, so. You know, it was well over 90% where I worked were just copped out, that's all.
Yeah,
So, there's a lot of nuances to this.
but not, I'm sorry for occupying the time, but a pie chart that says arrests, okay? And, you know, this much of the pie chart is a felony arrest. And the other pie charts are DUIs or drug investigations. If you kind of knew that, then you could put your finger on it and say, when you're in that domain on the pie chart, you got this many hours you tend to spend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you're working on a felony, you're probably bucking that up to somebody else. I think more, to me, it would be a more data to look at. Okay,
To give you
that's
this.
why I come out of it.
And the parking could go to an officer who makes $35 an hour instead of a
And that's such
prosecutor.
it's not a minimal, that's not a major thing that he does. End of the summer, I send out all the unpaid parking tickets. Whoever doesn't pay, then they go to court. And so out of like 50 letters that I sent out, I sent 11 letters, or 13 letters, or summons, court summons up to court.
Yeah, I'd be with Brian. If we're spending 90 grand chasing parking tickets.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not,
We're on the wrong business.
Yeah.
that's
That's
not,
the low end.
just- yeah, that's just, here and there.
Yeah.
So Brian, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna, because you probably can speak to this better than I can, because I left the commission on my first term in '99, and we come back until 15 years later, but you were there. And we had, Bob Tierney was prosecuting for a while, and then at some point, a prosecutor was hired,
Yeah.
correct?
Towards the latter part of my career, we did hire an attorney. There were a couple of them that occupied that role, they were part-time, to take care of the adult cases. I was doing the juvenile cases, or we had someone else doing the juvenile work. And that is a very time-consuming element of the court work, the juvenile work, because you gotta serve the parents and, you know, meet the time criteria and so on and so forth.
Right,
But
that makes sense.
having an adult, someone prosecuting the adult cases was beneficial to have someone with the expertise to answer the motions, to handle the discovery work, and rather than relying on each individual officer to respond to motions that are filed, so on and so forth. So it is, I think that position is important. You know, the pay, you know, if he's able to do both juvenile and adult, you know, that's fine. Whether we hire that out to another attorney, I don't know what the savings would be.
Well, it doesn't go to zero. Your point is it doesn't go to zero.
No,
and
absolutely
It's somewhere
not.
between the 90 and a zero, or it stays at 90.
Right, and the more time an officer is involved, the more time that an officer is involved in the post-arrest process, the less time he's out on the street.
John, can I ask one more question? It's a future question. So, you know, I've been away for a couple of years from watching this movie, but I remember a few years ago there was this, we're not gonna have body cameras, and we're never gonna happen. Are we gonna have body cameras in this town at some point?
I would say yes.
And when you have a body camera and you do a stop, for whatever purpose, and it winds up to be something that's gonna get prosecuted, somebody's gonna wanna look at that body cam footage. Would that be something the prosecutor would spend time doing?
Yes. It would have to go out to discovery and be reviewed.
I
just
had
add
a
something.
very strong
Anyway, Joe.
interest.
Wolfeboro has body cameras, and they have one person that's in charge of it, and he sends out all the discovery on the, burns all the CDs and DVDs.
So that person is not a prosecutor per se, right?
No, no,
But they're an extra head count.
he's just a regular guy, and that's, he's a,
Regular.
he's a sergeant or whatever, he says, okay, that's your responsibility to do that.
Okay, okay. But he doesn't do the prosecution stuff.
No, no. The only thing, again, it's been talked to the delegation of trying to get a group of towns to come together
Yeah,
and add another attorney up to the county attorney's office, to do district court, Southern and district court in Albany.
but to your point though, I don't know how the math works, but if we have if that town has a person that is doing that, a sergeant doing that function, you know, they're a quarter of the time, a half of the time, not on the street, not, you know, doing what they were originally permitted to do.
Yeah.
And then there's a prosecutorial function that's on top of that, and where does that take place? At the county?
Yeah,
Okay, so there's actually a cost and another cost here.
no, they would probably, when they send the reports to the county attorney's office, the arrest, would include the burn DVD.
I see, okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
Just, you kind of got off what originally started this question,
Right.
was the 42.10% jump in supervisors' salaries.
Okay.
And my question is what accounted for that? And also, I noticed that the town manager increased that number by a little bit, so.
If I may, on your behalf, and Mark, excuse me, Captain, I believe you'll agree, you promoted a lieutenant, but last year there was only 2 positions in the 113 line. It was the chief and the captain. And in the budget, it wasn't accounted for his promotion. He was down in the 114 line. I've gone back and confirmed that. So the budget of $222,000 was only for the top 2 positions, and in '23 it is for the 3 positions.
Okay.
That's answer number 1. Answer number 2 is throughout the whole budget, we didn't put in any increases at department head level. They were all done at town manager level. So those were budgeted increases across all departments based on the direction from the town manager. So it's not like,
Which is the same percentage
For
of all the non-union.
non-unions. So contractually, they were there. It was the non-unions that were put in after the department had submitted their budget. Is that, do you agree, Mark?
I agree.
Captain?
Yep.
So I have a question on that
Yes,
line.
go ahead.
So for the supervisor salaries, if I look at the 5-year, it comes to 207. What is the additional salary of the 3rd person?
You can see, oh, go ahead,
No,
sorry.
you can go.
So on page 6, you can see the 3rd person down, lieutenant position, $98,213.
So we have 90.
I have a question on that. When was he promoted? The budget book for this year has him as lieutenant, only under hourly wages instead of supervisory salary. And the fire department works the same way, so he was, when you did the book for this year, he was indicated as lieutenant.
That's correct, but I can't speak to when he was promoted. We did realize it sometime during the budget process, but I think it was too late in the
Right.
budget process.
Right, so basically, you just moved him from hourly wages up to
That is
supervisory
correct,
salary.
and I've confirmed it on my
Right,
worksheet here.
and he went up 12.6%.
And when you did last year's budget, that was all contemplated?
It was in the supervisor salaries.
Okay.
Not last
I
year.
mean,
Right.
he was in the hourly wage.
When you
right,
did the
and it was-
23 budget?
Yeah, it was
right,
May of-
contemplated that did move out of, into that,
He was promoted already. He just went in hourly wages.
Yeah, it was May of '22 when he was promoted.
no, my question is, was it budgeted for in '23? And I think I'm hearing the answer, well, it was.
It's in there, it's in here. yeah.
Thank you. Not in '24, but you're asking for the '24.
But he didn't move from 13 to
24.
14,
Thank you.
14 to 13.
May of '23,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, any more questions on supervisor salaries, hourly wages?
Although outside of the budget committee, John, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'd like to know more texture about how this, because I've heard that we have some questions about this. I'd like more texture at a later time as to how this works. What is the function here? How many of these things are they involved in? I don't want to pick at what you're doing. I trust that you know what you're doing, but I'd just like to learn more about it. Maybe we do it, next summer or something when we have some downtime.
We could put you as a representative of the budget committee on there.
I already visited with these people.
On their
Did you?
staff.
Yeah. I already visited with them.
Okay, good.
So can I ask another question
Oh, of
on that,
course.
Casey? So if we remove 98 from our hourly wages, you're saying? Yet that number's going up also.
Yep, so last year in 2023, in the operating budget, none of the represented union members would have a raise because a warrant article was done outside the budget. And so you didn't see a raise there, you saw it over here.
Okay.
So I might be wrong on the percentages because it was like 5% and then this year's 3.5.
5.5.
5.5 and then 3.
Yeah.
So technically, it looks like they're getting 8.5, but, and that's compounded, whatever, but in theory, their raise was outside of the operating budget last year. So
Okay.
now it almost looks like they got 2 raises,
Okay.
but is that clear?
And one more question for me.
Go ahead.
For 2024, how much of a raise are the cops getting?
3%.
How much?
3%?
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a comment. So last year, the police department posted up a warrant article. Right? Was it last year you did it? This past year? There was a warrant article put out?
For a cruiser?
For a cruiser?
20, that's last budget year. And, your last budget year, yeah. For the SRO. Right. And I think we learned in the summertime, I'm just clarifying so that there's no misunderstanding going forward. I think we learned we had a summer meeting with our friends at the New Hampshire Municipal, whatever, and did we learn that the only people who can put up money warrant articles are the Board of Selectmen and petitioners?
I personally didn't learn that. I was aware of that. That is correct.
So we put up a money warrant article
Yes.
in '23 through the police department, and that probably,
The board, my understanding is what
Could've been a
cannot
deal.
happen is the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee are the only 2 entities that should be on the warrant who recommend, and we put on the Police Commission, Budget Committee, and Board of
so
Selectmen.
you had to approve their work.
Yes.
Okay,
we
no,
all-
just checking.
Yeah, but it was just the tagline.
I'm just checking.
So when it was a police warrant article, we'd have 3 taglines. The budget committee said
Okay,
this,
I
the
got
board
it.
of selectmen said that, and our practice was police commissioners said that.
I'm just trying to catch up.
We were told that's invalid, right?
Thank you.
So may I ask a question while we're on that topic? I can't remember if it was just the school that said for 1 year or the town also said for 1 year, that officer?
I think it said it went into the operating, but I didn't bring my thing, but I thought it went into the operating. It was to approve it, and then we would see it the next year in the operating budget. I think
So
we
it's
had
just the
to-
school side that has the 1 year?
I believe after this year it'll become part of the.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
we're not dealing with that
If
yet,
it get,
okay.
which we're anticipating approval for '24, then it'll become part of their operating.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
But I will just, one more thing on her.
Yeah.
The warrant article, in my vision, I can see it, we did lay out half year and full year. So it was
Yeah.
implied that it was a continual job, not just a half year position.
Okay.
Is how it's laid out.
Okay.
And that's off my vision, but I'm pretty
agree.
sure that's.
You're pretty
Thank
good
you.
at it.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, thank you.
I think we did take it all.
Yeah.
Clear.
Okay.
One more question.
Yes, go ahead.
The chief, the captain, and the lieutenant positions, their salary is established by an MOU, is that correct?
Yes.
With the police commission? Okay. That's all.
Well, originally was
So John, are we just anywhere in the 100 series now, or?
We're
where-
working on it.
I didn't
We're in the
wanna ask
one
that next question.
dash
Yeah,
dash.
he's kind of tied into the supervisor salaries.
I can't speak when this all occurred, in answer to your question with MOUs, but when I came back on in 14, there were currently MOUs with Chief Chase and then Lieutenant Rondo. And that process has just continued.
Who creates and reviews the MOUs for correctness and legalities and things like that?
I don't,
I mean, does a lawyer pray over the
Yeah.
document to make sure it's,
Who writes it, who reviews it, who makes sure that it meets snuff?
it's been written in the past, but I don't know who started writing them, we just followed the same,
Pretty boilerplate,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
nobody would be the answer, right? So
Right.
it's not getting
Nobody
legal
here-
review right now.
Nobody created anything, it's been in place since before I came back on. And we followed the same template, if you will, with a few changes here and there that are applicable at the time, or
Because as BOS, we usually send ours out for attorney review.
Did everyone get a copy of the MOUs?
today,
In the
one you
email?
sent out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone? Bob, you got them? Yeah.
Printed, yep.
Okay, good.
Can I ask one? Real question?
For the whole night, or?
Yeah.
Give me a
Are you
candy
gonna
bar
give me the
if you
PP
want.
thing again here?
Give me a candy bar.
So there's gonna be, I think in the town manager's budget, I think is there gonna be a salary, wage study?
Correct.
Does the executive team at the PD get into that? Are they part of that wage study?
They would be.
Okay, good, thanks. So non-bargain for people will be part of the wage study. Thank you.
The only ones in my understanding that will not be is going to be the lineman at MED.
MED. Okay. Thank you.
Even your
You-
union,
yeah, everybody.
everybody's,
Everyone,
Oh.
You all set?
Well,
everybody.
everybody,
Everybody.
non-union, union,
Okay,
police union,
well, but I think there was
fire
there was a question here about executive salaries and MOUs and all of that stuff, and maybe the downstream question would be, how do you set those numbers, and there's a wage study that we're contemplating doing.
The only ones who opted out was the linemen for electric, because I think they already have a multi-year
They have a multi-year
contract,
agreement.
and they're already in line or something, so the director has advised not to.
I
be
promise,
part of
John,
this.
I'm done.
No, that's okay, Paul.
Yeah, Casey's giving me.
I appreciate it.
I'm getting the hearing.
Since we've talked a lot about MOUs and it's being recorded, I'd like to make a motion that MOUs be part of the minutes for tonight's meeting, so if people wanna read them and
Second.
understand them, if that's okay with everybody.
Second?
Any other discussion?
Nope.
Okay, can you do
Is that-
a roll call vote, please? I'm sorry.
Is that gonna be just for the police department or
Yeah, anybody else?
Yeah,
anybody else?
just so it's in the minutes, so if someone goes online and says, what's this MOU, they can go online and read them. For the police
For all
department.
departments,
Are
Well,
you talking
this-
about?
This
just
is
the-
going to pop that as MOUs, I believe.
oh, is it?
Yeah,
Just tonight's, or?
just the MOUs that were sent
For
out to
tonight,
us, from,
yep.
yeah, from the police department, yes.
As long as there's someone,
I haven't.
with respect, as long as someone gives it's okay to publish a personnel document, I don't know if it is or not. But
It's a public
maybe
document.
town council should opine on that and say, that's okay, or it's not okay, because it's a personnel document.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have just a non-financial agreement to be here for a certain amount of time. That's now going into these minutes?
No, just, only thing we've talked about here.
Okay, so I think that maybe the motion should be more specific what MOUs you're talking about.
Okay,
Because I believe there might be only one or two other employment agreements in the town.
What's that?
And if you just have that kind of statement, it seems
I
pretty
agree with
vague.
I
that.
can do that. I'll amend my motion. The MOUs for the chief, the captain, the lieutenant, and one other support staff person.
Subject to council review. How's that?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we're not doing something
Yeah,
that's
I
gonna
would
come
think-
back and.
I don't think it's a problem, but you can have the
Well,
review.
we have somebody over here who says in a different department, I have one, and it might be different. I'm just saying.
Is that
subject
okay
to-
with you? Does that sound all right for you, limited to those 4 people?
Yes, and just to, mine's non-financial, and I'd be more than happy to attach it to the minutes, but I don't see the relevancy, and that's why I was
Yeah,
bringing it
no,
up.
it's just because it's part of the, we've
Yes.
talked about in the budget.
Yep, so on general government, if you wanna make that same motion, we can do that too.
It's semantics, but it's a different title. It's an employment agreement, not an MOU.
Okay, okay.
Part of minutes subject to council.
subject to council's review.
Council review.
Just to make sure we're not doing anything that we shouldn't do.
Paul, do you want to second that as it's
I did
been
second
amended?
it.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, the roll call is to make the MOUs available for the chief, the captain, lieutenant, and the support staff for the police department, along with attached to our minutes. Okay?
Bobby Goodman,
Yes.
Bob Tupper,
Yes.
John McDonald,
Yes.
Bob Holland,
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes.
Tom Bell,
Yes.
Brian, no, Paul O'Brien.
Yes,
And Brian DeShane.
Yes.
and those MOUs are dated 10/22, or whatever, like October 22. So,
Yeah.
if there's more-
We have the most current ones we sent.
It's October 22.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we all set on the supervised and hourly wages? Okay, let's go down to my favorite, part-time wages. The only concern I have is you have one employee getting a 14% raise.
I can explain that for you.
Okay.
So what we did is, so in that part-time line, if you look at fiscal year '23, if you remember, we had part-time patrol officer in there for, again, it's in the ballpark of $8,000 for the year.
Could you speak up just a little bit, please, Captain?
Oh, sorry.
Thanks.
We had the school resource officer, and we had the investigator that was in those positions. So what we did is, the school resource officer retired, the half that was in the elementary schools for the town of Wolfeboro. So we took that position, and I think it was about $34, we minus the $4 there. We evened it out with the investigator, and we added $4. So in that line, it was only a 65 cents increase hourly. And we took out the part-time position, because we don't have one. And so that saved another $8,000. So in that part-time line, we actually saved $7,391.60. So what we just did is just evened out those two positions with money
So
we
couldn't
already
we
had.
save another, rather than giving this guy, this position 14%, how about if we give him 8%, then we could save more money? Or 5% like there are other offices?
Again, I don't do the raises for,
You don't do what, I'm
I
sorry?
don't do raises for the thing. It comes out at the end
Okay.
with the commissioners.
I had trouble following the,
Yeah, 65 cents an hour is
that
the
one was a little
raise
circuitous for
being-
me, right? Do
Yeah,
over.
our part-time.
Yeah, so our
SRO
part-
was making 32.
Yeah,
or
when I was making 34.
34.
So our part-time SRO was making about 34 and change.
Okay.
So we took away the $4 and put it down to $30.76. And the investigator was making $26.81, and we added that to $30.76, so they're both the same amount of money. And both of those positions are $30.76, so you're looking at a 65 cents. That's really the increase in that line, if you look at it. Yes, that individual got a $4 raise, but the other position lost $4. But there's nobody in that position, and then that money was taken away. The position's still there, but the money is not funded as we went through the select board.
Well, the bottom right-hand corner was taken down,
Yeah.
not the money out of that line. Or did I get that wrong? The
There's
bottom,
$5 left in that line.
No, you're right, we took the 31 plus
Yeah.
from the bottom line, we let them decide where
Yeah.
they could take it from.
It just happened to be the exact same amount for that line.
stipulated,
Yeah.
but the select board, from what I remember seeing, cut the bottom line.
Correct.
They said, you guys figure out,
Yep.
people, you folks figure out where to put the,
And then I got the direction, and they told me to take it out of there,
I
leave
see.
5, and then they take 5 out of overtime. So it was on their direction.
so we just, if I could, John?
Certainly.
I hate to use the word defunded, because it's very political, and I don't like that, but we've actually defunded the SRO overtime?
Not all the time.
Just the position.
We defunded the position,
The
part-time
part-time.
the part-time position, and the voters wanted that, right? No.
No, this one.
This is a different one.
This is a different
Okay, thank you. All right, good.
Yep.
That was a position that was never voted on. It was
Okay.
just put in place.
Checking.
Because it's a part.
Well, it wasn't actually an added position. We repurposed a position that
The JSO.
the JSO position that was already there.
Yeah,
So when we just looked at the public safety
Got it.
aspect of it, we just repurposed that.
I got it.
Yeah, and took the body of the officer from administrative into the school. But it was a wash, yeah.
Okay, so the 14% increase in his salary has nothing to do about changing his duties. It's just you folks felt it was better to switch that money to give it to him than to give it back to the taxpayers.
Well, actually, his duties did change somewhat because he's going to be the accreditation manager as well as being a part-time investigator. So we've launched that project, which will probably be about 2 years. So we've added that responsibility to his other duties.
Does he come to the PD every day when he works?
No,
Where does he work?
he distance works. He comes here when he needs to,
He does it at home?
Remotely.
remotely there. He was here yesterday.
Yeah, he was here.
Okay, so you folks didn't see any problem with the 14% raise? No? Okay.
I don't see a problem with the duties that he's got.
No? Okay.
so, yeah, John, you were asking the commissioners?
Yeah.
And I'm asking the board of selectmen too, you have no problems with this?
When we reviewed it, we didn't.
Great,
We did what we did.
we did what you did.
Okay, let me just, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Bobby.
So this person took a different job,
He added more duties.
added more duties. So we're not just looking at a raise for someone who was in a current position, they've taken on a new position.
They've taken on more duties.
Thank you.
When was that job posted?
When was it posted?
Yeah.
I don't know how long he's been on.
What labor grade is it in the department?
It's a part-time investigator, so I don't have the labor grade on hand.
This one get carried in the wage study?
Okay, thank you.
It will be carried in the wage study, is that correct?
Yeah.
I'll look at that one in the wage study.
He's a sworn officer.
He's a sworn officer.
He's listed at police academy training as a sworn officer?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes?
Yes.
He's in our,
I talked to him today, that's what I was wondering.
yeah, he's in our benchmark.
Okay.
Yep.
Why is the chief of Claremont working with if he's a sworn officer?
Why?
Yeah.
The commissioners would have to answer that question.
That's because under the new rules with the Citizen Review Committee, that's what, under the 91.
106L.
106L, so 106L, that's their requirement, not our requirement.
But he's now listed as a part-time officer with the police department, is that correct?
He's not working for us.
Who's this?
Yeah,
The Claremont?
Yeah, he
No,
doesn't work.
the current person in the investigative position.
the current investigator is a part-time employee of the department.
But he's not listed as a part-time officer with your department.
Under benchmark?
As a certified part-time officer, you don't have him, what's it, Form A, is that what it is?
Yeah, he's an investigator part-time.
Yeah, but no Form A.
Down at the academy, he's
Yeah.
got it all.
There's a Form A?
He's certified, he's under
Okay, thank you.
benchmark, he's got everything.
What's the question behind the question?
What's that?
What's
I'm
the
just trying to
question
find
behind
out
the
if he's in
question?
a law enforcement position,
Yeah.
or if he's in an investigative position,
Okay.
what his purpose is. Okay, let's move on to overtime. Elected officials, phone stipend,
Oh,
other
wait, I
compensation.
thought you were going, can I?
You can jump right in, Barbara.
Okay,
Come on.
overtime. I just had some questions on overtime. One is, we have a 5-year average of 130. We're jumping up to 154.
Yep.
But my specific question is, if I go to page 9, and I look at our overtime, we have $14,276 in training. So can you help me understand why we're paying someone overtime with training?
So what happens there is, it's not the actual training that goes out there, it goes the extra coverage for it. So when he or she goes to training, It takes it from a shift, half, most of the time.
So somebody else is.
So somebody else has to
is
cover
having
that
pick up
shift.
that time, and they're getting it overtime.
Yeah.
If we have a midnight officer going into training,
They can't work at
trainings during the
midnight.
day, we have to still fill the shift.
So the shift goes open, let's just say that. So if I have a midnight shift and they're doing a 3-day training, I have to fill that midnight.
Chris does it. Don't do it. Chris does it.
Yeah.
And Mark, can you just touch on, was there an increase this year in what police standards and training is requiring for hourly training for each?
Yeah, so they went from 10 years, 10 hours this year into the next year, I got right, yeah. So 2023, they went to 10 hours this year of training for each officer. In 2024, they're going from 10 hours to 16 hours. That's required.
Okay, can
Training.
you stay on that subject? Can you help me if I jump up to 820 professional development? When
Yep.
I look at your backup on that,
So that's the cost of the actual training.
okay, because there you have hours. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that we're
Yeah,
not
so that's the actual cost to
of
send
the
them to
training
that
for
class.
those hours, and then on top of it, we have salary. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever keep a log of the total number of hours of overtime for the department?
Right here,
Yep.
Yep.
right here.
I don't have that one.
Got this for the town.
You just got that. Did you see it? Would you like a copy?
Yes, please.
So I tried to break it down as best as I could for you guys under that overtime line, what we use. So when it says like holiday, so I go through the schedule, we have 12 holidays. And I can see how many, if it's on a Monday or Thursday, how many officers we actually have on shift. And I can get an estimate of what that's gonna cost us for that year for the 12 holidays, for how many officers we actually have on. And when they work the shift, based on their contract, they get overtime.
Which that increase? That increase
Yeah,
too.
so which that increased, because their pay increased.
But it's hour for hour. They used to only get a max of 8 hours of overtime, even if they worked the 10 hours.
Yeah, and then their contract changed a little bit on their last contract, or their 2-year contract that just came into effect, is it's hour to hour on how much they work.
Okay. And then my other question is, could you explain grants to me? The 15.3?
So grants is the highway safety grants.
Okay.
So we do the DUIs, the pedestrians, that you'll see the officers downtown, speed enforcement, click at a ticket, which is seatbelts.
Yeah.
So we started out with KC, that we put the grants actually in the budget, in the overtime.
Okay.
So if you look at the 5-year average, probably 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we didn't do that.
Yeah, that's
We-
why it was the 130.
Yeah,
Five
so then we
years,
get
so
the,
lower.
so we get the revenue that comes back,
Okay,
but that comes
so we're gonna see that on both sides, is what
both
you're
sides,
saying?
yes.
Okay.
May I say, and it is credit because that's when I came here 3 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
But it's always been, you should be gross appropriating. In some
Yeah.
areas, we weren't. They would
Okay.
net down, not they.
Yeah,
It's a practice to, hey, I got money in, so I'm gonna net down so it looks like I didn't spend it.
Mhm.
Where here, we've changed the practice. How much are we paying in overtime, no matter what offsets are coming in on revenue? They don't get the credit for it in their spending,
Yeah.
so there might be some trending of up.
Okay.
But I can't take credit for coming up with that good
Right.
idea.
Yeah, but you're enforcing. So if I could, this
Implementing.
report that we got the other night, this is cash out the door. What's coming in terms of revenue, where it's coming from, could be coming in from grants, but this report is cash out the door. This is what shows up in an individual's W-2 at the end of the year.
yes.
That
Is
is
it
correct.
W-2 earnings? Okay.
But
But
to
you can't go locate that back to here, because it's grant monies and there's revolving fund monies.
Right.
that come
They
in.
could give you that information, but it's not, it's not by person all the way down.
Correct.
On
Okay.
the other compensation, you can see different things.
Yeah.
But there's only a few flavors that come in. Police detail would be one, which is a different type of overtime.
Right.
Grants would be another, but most others are all tax-based unless I'm
Yep.
missing a big thing.
No, yeah, that's correct.
All that overtime is in the
But the details don't come out of overtime, right?
Yes. What did you say?
Details do not come out of the overtime.
Right, but they are in what they're looking at.
Oh, okay.
So I want to make sure that they're aware of it.
Just for clarity, what I received the other evening, to me, as I read it, it looks like W-2 earnings for individuals. There's base salary, but these are earnings that would go on top of base salary or whatever else.
Correct.
This is cash out the door.
Yes.
Where it came from, there's a couple of notations in here that came from the revolving fund, or maybe a grant. But this is a illuminating document, all right?
He is correct. Here you can tell what was paid from police detail. You cannot tell what was paid from grants. It just says overtime.
Yeah, it just says overtime.
So can I just keep asking another question on that? Because you had just said the shift differential for the overtime, but in other compensation, that's where we're sitting with that shift differential of the 23,660. What? So can you explain that to me?
So you're talking about shift differential?
Well, you just said for the overtime, part of that overtime with the training, was that someone had a shift
No.
differential? Pardon my
no,
ignorance,
no.
I'm just, this
Shift-
is all new for me.
Yeah, shift coverage.
Okay, that was shift
Coverage,
coverage,
yeah,
not a
so-
differential,
yeah.
okay.
So for clarity, the shift differential is if I work second shift, I get, I don't know the number, $1 or 50 cents extra because
Okay.
I worked the second
So
shift.
that
And
was,
that's in their
that was a
contract.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Thank
different.
you.
That's that
Yeah,
terminology.
and that's in the other compensation.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we all set on other compensation?
Oh, she just, that was below it, that's why she was there.
Just a quick question. You guys don't have minimum manning in the contract, do you?
No.
200 series. 300 series. Did you guys get a new cruiser this year?
We're putting one in.
Is it, no, did you get one this year?
Yes.
Did it come in yet? Have you guys got it
It did
yet?
come in.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it on the road? You guys
It
getting
is
ready?
on the road.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Okay, 400 series. Big jump in rental and leases.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the tasers. So our 5-year lease is up and we're going with a new
Okay.
lease.
How you, I guess general question, how you guys portables holding up? Are we gonna see those coming down the road, or
Yeah, we got no issues with them.
No issues, okay.
Yeah, they're good.
the Motorola ones out?
Yep.
The Motorola?
Yeah,
So,
just batteries and that's about it.
yeah. Somebody told me they weren't gonna service them anymore, or be able to do any work on them.
The portables for cruisers, that did.
Okay.
And we were in the process of, we do one every year to
Okay,
replace
those
those.
are all taken
And
care
I
of?
think we're all set with all
Okay,
that now.
cool.
Captain, on the tasers, there's is this like a software platform? You don't renew them, they won't stand by your, if you tase somebody?
Yeah, that is correct. So once they're not gonna stand by their old product anymore. So if we don't upgrade, you could have a liability issue.
Liability, meaning that prior to that, if you tase somebody, they'll stand up and say the taser fired at the right time and at the right direction, all that.
They'll have their
But
lawyers.
if it expires, it's whatever, warranty period or whatever it is, they're not gonna help you out.
That is correct.
And Captain, wasn't there 2 leases and now it's combined? Wasn't there like 10 and then
Yeah.
5 or something?
Yeah, yeah.
So the
So we
price
got them all on the
seems.
same cycle.
And of the 14.6, I'm sure it's in the backup, which I'm gonna be admonished for not looking at. How much of that is the taser number?
14.6 is the taser.
It is the taser number,
For
total.
1 year.
For 1 year.
Got it, thank you.
We'll probably plan on that every year, I imagine, once
Really?
guaranteed money. We'll probably have to pay that every year. No one pays the company probably.
Well, he is saying it's 1 year, a new lease, 1 of year 5, so yeah, we'd have to at least pay for the next 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a longer guarantee, of
And then we-
This is the second group of tasers, all right?
Yeah, second. Yeah.
Okay,
So we're going to the Model 7, that's what we're going.
let's see here. Okay, let's go to 400 series. Where'd the liability insurance go? Is that into the big insurance pot?
Yes, 3 years ago, I put it all into the line called insurance for the town, unless it was for water, sewer, or electric.
Okay.
That goes into the enterprise.
That's correct. I break out the enterprise funds, but it didn't make a lot of sense to have it in everybody's departments when the government forms, I mean, the DRA forms say insurance, it looked like we had none.
And does that go for the same thing for legal expense?
That is correct. That was another change I implemented 3 years ago, I think. But we do break it out in legal, and, you know, one says planning and zoning, one says,
So when we get into that budget, we'll be able to see what's over there?
no. In the past, no, but in the future, yes. Police didn't have their own line, they were under general government. But the Board of Selectmen put $1,000 into legal budget for '24 to start tracking it here, but we are tracking it offline on a spreadsheet. So if you wanted the number, you could get it, but you couldn't get it in this budget. You're welcome.
Okay, 500 series. Captain, what do we replace in the vest every year, buying a couple every year for the guys, or?
Yeah, when it comes, next year is gonna be, just to prepare, yeah, I think.
No, it's the next year, we only have like 3 or something.
I mean, yeah,
It's
24, we only
in
have.
25.
25 we have.
I think
The
it's
new
5.
guys get new vests and everything, they're not wearing secondhand or any of that other stuff?
We try, yeah, we try to get new ones, so they fit them, because they're, I mean, it's fitted to that individual.
Yeah.
If somebody can fit an old one, and usually it doesn't, we're not so lucky.
Oh, it's 20.
But we don't have a situation with vests that they have a useful life, and after that, there's no
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
It's 2026 that we have a bunch.
5 years is too long.
Yeah,
They
so-
smell pretty bad.
Yeah.
I had a different thought, but thanks for that clarity.
Yeah, in 26, we got 6 officers, so just prepare for that.
But we have a plan.
Okay, I'll send the 600 series, 700 series. Okay, just to jump back to the gasoline, how are they doing on gasoline? Have they got new year to date?
Actually, it's down, right? Year over year, 8.5%?
But a lot of that has to do with, the direction from the town manager was to leave your same usage, and we moved it down to the contractual prices, except for gasoline, which is on rack rate, so that is a variable.
So they're getting the same gallons as last year, basically?
That was the direction given. I can't stand by what their gallons were, but
Yeah.
that was the.
No, I've
Same
noticed-
gallons, different price.
Yeah, they've really taken advantage of you guys parking on the side of the road, shutting your cars off and doing traffic enforcement. I've seen that on trotting track, a couple of the spots. It's good.
Committee will come after you for-
Tesla doesn't use any gas.
What's that?
Tesla doesn't use any gas.
Chief, have you got a long extension cord to your house, or how do you?
I just reel it in every.
You really did? Okay, 700 series. 800 series.
I know if I did something wrong, I wouldn't want the Tesla behind me because I wouldn't get away.
No, it's fast.
Well, there you go.
What have we got going on professional development this year?
That's a big jump.
It's the cost of courses.
Yeah, the courses have gone up too. So, and then our hours, like I said before, are going up to 16 hours for each officer, required by the state, mandatory.
Well, but to Bobby's earlier question, the cost of sending an officer to that course is picked up someplace else. Are you saying the unit price for each course that we're taking now is gone from $8,600 up to $9,000, or something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, you look at classes, I mean, inflation has hit the classrooms. So you're looking at some classes that we go to are $695 used to be, they've gone up $100 to $795.
Yes, the street coverage is in the 100s, but this is the actual course taken.
Yeah.
Tuition, this
Yeah.
is tuition.
This is what we paid for.
Captain, there's I can't think of the name of it, but it's like 3 different courses, management courses. And you get the certification after you take.
Yeah, FBI leader.
Yeah, do we participate in that?
Yes.
We do, okay, great.
Yep.
Are guys, how they going, progressing through, and are most guys all done with it?
Next year.
Next year, good.
That's our supervisors, and then there's the newly appointed sergeant, he's getting the second one done next year, and the new sergeants or corporals, they just got their first ones done, so.
So eventually, everyone that's a corporal and above will have it, good, good. Okay,
I actually send the dispatches too for the supervisor.
oh, really? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Is that designed
Same.
for dispatchers, or the same thing?
The same ones, the ones that have some duties.
Okay, any more questions on the 850?
850?
Yeah. Okay. I guess I have to be the bad guy, so I will be. Jim, what did supervisors and other departments get for a raise? What percentage? Are they gonna get?
3.5.
3.5. I'll make a motion to cut the bottom line of the police department by $25,000.
I'll second it.
And the basis for that, John, just for discussion, what's the basis?
The basis is I think supervisors should get the same raise and not pick and choose what they're gonna get. If you look at the MOU, they can choose. If the town gives a 5-point raise, they can take the 5-point raise. If the employees take a 3%, back and forth, they can go back and forth. And I'm not gonna degrade the other supervisors of the town by giving them the police department more than what they get for a raise.
So the argument is that you're looking for consistency across the, we'll call it the enterprise.
Right, the non-union positions.
Is that consistency consistent across the town?
With this exception, yes.
There's an exception?
Well, I guess I'm.
Because I just want to understand.
Yeah, that's fine. I
that
appreciate-
if we're
appreciate your
saying,
question.
let's all be consistent, they go, well, we're really not. Are we consistent?
You guys can have, if the union has better than the non-union, then you get the higher.
I would just
It's the only year it's.
confirm with the police commission,
Say
but
that.
in their narrative on the spreadsheet, it does say 3% for those 3.
No, I think it calculates as the 3.5, but this is down for everybody else at 3.
Control it. All the unions at 3.
So it is the only ones that are inconsistent, right? I mean, you guys can have either this or that, and this is the first year, you're
First year
telling me,
ever.
that this has ever happened, that they get 5% more. 0.5, excuse me.
Oh.
Yeah, 0.5, yeah.
And then just for clarity, why do you argue that it should be different than others? What's the argument? And I mean the argument, like, what's the case that says, man, it should be different?
That was, I can't answer that question, Paul, only other than to say that when I came back on in 14, I believe it was referred to, from late Commissioner Goodgame, it's called the Favored Nations Clause. And it was something that came up with that commission back then where, and the way I understand it, but I can't speak to this factually, but the way I understand it was because for a number of years, the union was getting increases
so there was an uplift on top of that, kind of
But
a,
the non-union wasn't getting anywhere near that.
yeah.
So then that's, I think, what caused that to happen was, with that favored nations clause, if you will, was to say, okay, if the union gets this, you should be able to get this.
Sure.
And it was agreed upon back then.
Paul, I'm not talking about that. Historically, the supervisors of the police department, again, as my memory serves, have always gotten the same thing that the supervisors in the town have.
You're absolutely correct, John, because.
Yeah, I was just asking, what was their, argument that says, no, we should be different?
Right,
And I'm not,
right.
with the deepest amount of respect, I'm not hearing anything that
Yeah,
convinces me
I
it
don't,
should
I
be.
don't, I don't have an answer for you.
I
I
would
think to John's point.
Two different entities here.
We've
David.
always
Police Commission
followed
and
the
Board of Selectmen.
guidance of the select board. Whatever non-union has been determined is what we've done with the supervisors.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, yeah, okay.
Hey, Paul, John, can I just ask a question?
Clarify.
Just to
Go ahead,
clarify.
Bob. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the 25,000, did you guys do the math? Is that why it's
Oh, I've got
25?
other things I'm gonna talk about.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, no, it's not,
Because it doesn't seem like 0.5% of,
no, again, all I'm doing is cutting the bottom line. If the police commissioners feel you guys should get an 8% raise, they can give you an 8%
We're
raise.
not getting
And you
here.
can find the money
No,
some other
he's-
place.
He's just saying this is one of the areas
okay. Yeah,
of the 20.
I was just seeing if that was where you were coming from.
No, that's just one part of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, Paul, I looked at last year's book, and on the 113 line,
Yeah,
one of the gentlemen went up 8.2%, the other went up 12.6%. John and I have had a conversation, the chairman and vice chairman, and we felt that these raises were a little generous. Yes.
I didn't, which person are you referring to?
Well, you're one and Guy Maloney's the other,
Yeah, I only went up the
5.5.
5.5%.
not according to last year's book. You went from 101,858 to 110,273.
So you gotta look at the 13 weeks and the 39
I
weeks.
did, I looked at the total.
Yeah,
But
but I
there
only,
was no extra,
all I got was a 5.5%.
That's not the numbers I read from last year's book. I pulled it out and,
okay, thank you. That's
That's-
not,
Yeah.
well, can I finish? And the other gentleman went 87, 110 to 98, 213.
Well, he did because he got promoted.
yeah.
He got promoted the prior year.
He got
23.
a raise and then he got a promotion. Like he got promoted and then we had our, the budget.
Yeah, depending on the MOU went, I
It's
believe
back-to-back
there was
increases.
2 raises within the MOU.
Yeah, I didn't bring my last year's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
I
look
had
it
it
up
out.
and follow along for you, but
so is that, John, is that where your 25 is in those two?
No,
No, there's more.
there's a couple more things.
Oh, there's a couple more.
Yeah, well, so what I
So
did
like
was,
a TV commercial. But wait, there's more.
I actually came up with 30,
When
so.
it comes to COLAs, like, his would have said 5.5%, like, the PAR that got signed. There was no other increases outside of that for Mark and for the chief.
Okay, so
And the 5.5 only goes on for the 39 weeks.
So on the line,
And you have the first 13 weeks that automatically get bumped up
Right,
from
for
the
the
previous
previous
year.
year.
okay, on page 6, when
Yeah.
you get to that,
Yeah.
the first 13 weeks.
okay, so
You just have to-
it's 13 weeks, 26 weeks, and the bottom line is 110,273.
Right,
Now, what I'm saying is, last year, that same bottom line, that same spot read 101,858. That's 8.2%.
So you got,
Dang it, Bob, give you a new math.
yeah, so you get the raise in April, so it's only 39 weeks, so you gotta remember that. It's not at 52 weeks. And technically, when you go into the first 13 weeks, when you make this budget, you actually get that raise, which is different than you had in the last budget.
What I'm
Previous-
telling you is, last year's
I
page
know.
6 looks exactly the same as this one.
I know.
And the bottom line,
But if you go to every year back,
go to 22.
go to
and look
22,
at-
you'll see that depending on what I got that year, they would be actually higher because there's the 39 weeks and the 13 weeks, and the 13 weeks come from the 39 weeks, which is 52 weeks from the year prior. So when you do the budget, the first 13 weeks
It always
is
looks like
different
an
than the first
increase.
13 weeks of the year prior.
It's read the same way last year.
Yeah, so it will run that way every year. It will be different than what the actual raise is because of, you get your raise in April, and you only get it for 39 weeks, and then you get, that same raise comes into the first 13 weeks of the,
So there's a motion on the table for 25, and there, but yet there's more. What else you got?
yeah.
There's more.
So it's complicated with the 13 weeks
What else?
and 39 weeks.
The other one, is I can't agree with justify 14% raise to one person. And I think that now they're up to full staff, supposedly close to full staff, we can keep the overtime at the same amount as it was last year.
Which is less.
What's that?
14 grand. 14,000.
So is there
In
anything else you
addition to
got?
the 25?
No, that's it.
No, no.
Okay, so we're
That's
still
part of it.
debating the motion. And so there's two components to the motion. One component is the executive officers, there's some debate as to whether they got or didn't get the kind of quantum of raise, and then the 14% for that other individual.
If I could just jump in, Paul.
Yeah.
They don't
They
have
do
to.
whatever they want.
They can do whatever they
Yeah,
want.
I
They
got
can
it.
find
I
the money
understand.
some other
I
place.
understand.
That's the whole thing.
I got that. And there's already been the select board took something out as well. Before I vote on it, and I don't want to reopen this, so I asked permission to not reopen this. You know, I've looked at the overtime report that was sent out the other evening, and we have a lot of tired people, is the way I observe this report. Some people could argue that, oh my God, there's a lot of people making a lot of overtime. Well, other people could say, with that kind of overtime, we have a lot of tired people in a lot of departments. And we either, if we want to deal with overtime, we either increase headcount, which I think we've not been too keen to want to do, or we reduce the demand for overtime. And I don't know how you do that. Do we just say we're not going to cover details or anything like that?
No, actually, we've done
We're in a bit of a pickle, and I'm not asking us to do anything tonight because we just got the document and you guys need to think about it. But we got a lot of people that are working lots of hours, and I just worry about that. I hate to use the word safety. I worry about, a tired police officer. I worry about a tired firefighter, a truck driver. And so this has got to get dealt with as a policy matter. Not only a budget matter, but it's a policy matter.
John?
So I'll park that there.
Tom Bell is in.
I'm sorry, I continue, Tom, go ahead.
Paul, I think a lot of that is being taken care of by new hires that are coming on stream. Some as soon as a couple months and then into the new year. So the overtime was to fill in for
Yep.
people that had left.
If I understand the first 5 minutes of our discussion, we're down 2, like, on-the-street officers, 2. They're out getting educated right now. 2. If you guys are, I'm not disputing you, Tom, if you guys say that those 2 incremental officers are gonna take that overtime budget down, we probably ought to have a mid-year conversation. Because the budget will go down, right? I don't think it's appropriate. My personal opinion would be, it'd be inappropriate for us to say, well, let's just kind of pull a number out of out of the ether and make you drive to it. But my point, and Tom, you may be exactly right, my point is somebody's got to do the math that says, bringing on 2 new officers, by the way, bringing on 2 new people to plow roads, by the way, bringing on 2 new people over in other departments, is going to reduce this overtime budget, because this budget, of this amount of money we're spending, is way outside of basic compensation. It's way outside of it. So somebody's got to do the math that says it's better for the voter in the town to have headcount versus overtime. And that would not be a bad idea for you guys to think about that. Just my personal advice.
Unfortunately, sometimes we can't get the bodies.
That's a different problem.
Correct.
But this again, at minute 4, the question was, we expect to be fully teamed all year long. So I agree with you. That's why I asked the turnover thing. So all I'm saying is, we have a lot of tired people. And I'm not gonna criticize whether somebody's pulling, how many hours they pull. We have a lot of tired people. And that's not good for the voter, and it's not good for the people. That's my personal opinion.
What's the all-in cost for a new officer, a new hire?
6.
I can tell you actually, it's right here.
still down.
64.
1,000.
Way up.
Yeah, just for, health insurance and, salary, that's not including the outfitting and everything.
Yeah.
It's 112,267.
Double.
Paul, historically, every year we've given him another man, and the overtime never goes down. I'm just saying, be creative, do some work on the schedule. And I'm used to, like, if you got overtime, you had an investigation to do, an accident, something like that. We don't have minimum manning, not every shift has to be filled to full capacity. You can have a sergeant and a patrolman out at 2 o'clock in the morning, at least in my opinion, in
Right.
February.
Right.
That's all
You
we
don't
do.
have to have a full staff.
That's all we have is two.
You just have two? Okay.
Well,
We usually have
John,
two.
that, John's offering kind of a rubric here to kind of deal with the issue. And you know better than me, because you've had the stuff on you. My only point is, at the macro level, these numbers make no sense. They are a cost on the voter, and they're a burden on the person pulling the overtime. And I don't know how we get less demand. You have to reduce the demand or increase the supply. More headcount, less demand for overtime. I don't know how we reduce the demand. Maybe you guys gotta help figure that out.
Well, I mean, I think it's always been the process of the police department to fill vacant shifts. In other words, if we have an officer out, we fill that shift. You don't leave somebody out there alone, and that's done on overtime.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how many people you have, if you're down 2 officers, if you're down 4 officers. We can not fill shifts, but there's gonna be blowback.
Yeah.
That now you mentioned officer
Totally
safety.
understand. And I'm not here to solve your problem. I just
Oh,
simply
no,
say
no,
that
I mean,
number,
you
that
brought-
number over here
Right.
is bigger than as a relative to the budgets we have. That number is, our budgets have gone up, 11, 12, 13, maybe another whatever percent this year. Our headcount has remained relatively flat across the enterprise. And the amount of overtime over the past several years has gone up. Something's gotta give in those three things.
Just to feed on that, I think what John's saying is, during the day, how many officers? Counting, obviously you have a lieutenant, you have a chief, and you have a captain.
Yep.
How many other officers do we have during the day besides those 3?
Mostly the lieutenant and another officer's on patrol. And then you have us 2 and the detective.
So you only have 1 patrolman, no sergeants?
Well, it could be a sergeant too. It could be
Yeah.
a sergeant and a lieutenant.
So you
It all
got 4?
depends. No. It just all depends on the schedule.
Yeah.
It could be a sergeant and lieutenant as the date.
Okay, so
So usually we try with 2 on patrol. That's the.
So I think that's what he's getting at is, I realize that's probably an 8 to 4 kind of deal, so that doesn't cover it all. But someone could pick that up between that time
I usually
and go,
do.
however,
Yeah.
just
No, I
cover.
do. I do. I
Yeah,
usually
I mean,
pick it up. And the
and
detective-
that's 8 hours that we're not running overtime. I think that's what he's pointing to.
Yeah, so
Yeah, but
the-
you're picking it up on overtime, aren't you?
No, God,
Okay.
no, that's my
If you
shift.
look in here,
And the
the
detective
answer
same
is in
thing.
here, and it would suggest to me that your assertion may not be true. The numbers don't, him picking up his
No,
overtime.
I'm just saying, I was asking if it was
Oh.
overtime.
No.
Because what I was thinking of is maybe, again, Stan Stevens used to have a book he'd bring in about creative scheduling. He left it in his desk, it's probably disappeared by now. Shows all these different scheduling you can do. I'm just saying, I'd like to see some effort, just let's get the overtime under control. Keep it what it was last year.
I agree with that.
Well, they get
I agree.
raises, so that's your problem, so. Their hourly wages increase. So when they work in overtime the following year, they get more money for overtime. So something's gotta increase somewhere. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna just, John,
Yeah,
I'm blathered here. We have a motion on the table to take the budget down 20.
Are we all set?
20, 25 you said, right?
Yeah,
That's also, it's less than 1.5%.
1.1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
and I would hope,
less than
uh,
1.5.
what's the final budget? 2,655,000,
2190.
is that what the budget is?
It's 1%.
Yeah, I would hope that they could find the money somewhere in that $2 million to accommodate this, but. Okay, Leanne, can you do a roll call, please?
Oh, I thought you said Bobby.
Can you just clarify that? Are you taking the 25 off their full budget of the 2 million?
Yes,
Correct.
Hold a motion.
that's what we're gonna do the vote right now.
Will we
Council
get a
Foley?
chance to revisit this?
Yeah, they wanna come in before, whenever, or they
I'm
can.
going to abstain.
I understand, okay.
Thank you.
So just so I understand, the town manager budget is $2,227,000. The department head request was $2,212,000.
2212.
So the town manager's budget is higher than that. The Board of Selectmen came in below it. And so, John, you're taking the Board of Selectmen's budget down 25, or?
25,000, yeah.
So the $1,195,000 becomes $25,000 less.
Correct.
195 minus 25.
So it'd be what, 2,173,06?
That's correct.
Yeah, 21.7.
And where's that money coming from, or they have the discretion to try to figure it out?
They can figure out where they wanna take it from.
It's 1%.
No.
Okay, so Bobby Bateman's going to abstain, Bob Tuffer,
Yes.
John McDonald,
Yes.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes.
Tom Bell,
No.
Paul O'Brien,
Yes.
and Brian DeShaves.
Yes.
And gentlemen, if I could, what John was talking about in terms of creative scheduling, I strongly encourage that we look at this and try to figure out a way to do something. By the way, it's not just you, I mean,
Yeah.
this report,
Hey,
A
Paul,
lot of-
it's across the
lot
town.
of- Yeah.
Paul, can we just get a count on this, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's, the motion passed 6-1-1.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Paul.
No, it's okay, it's my fault.
Okay, let's move on. Looking at some communications. Okay, 100 series.
Is there a new head count in the 100 series, or is this just raises
Just raises. We don't have any-
7.86%?
What is that?
He said 7.86%.
It's the 39 and the 13 weeks.
Again, that would be the two
So it's really the
raises
3.5
plus
plus.
Whatever
Okay,
the
got it.
previous
Thank
the
you.
2 years compounded
Yeah.
Thank you.
in the operating budget versus outside the operating budget.
Oh, just a minute, I wanna look at something here.
Are we still in the 100, John?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question with that, other compensation.
I was gonna get to overtime.
Okay, that's fine.
So what causes overtime in the communications function? What causes it?
Sick, vacation,
Shift coverage,
training.
training.
Holidays?
Well, holidays is
Overtime.
is overtime. They get paid that in their contract, so. So if you look at the breakdown there, I mean, I got the same thing as police. It's very similar. Out of that 32,000, the estimated around is 18,037 is gonna be taken out for holidays.
And I'm not suggesting anything other than just an observation. Compensation, base compensation is going up 3.5 or whatever the half year, the other half year, 7.6. But the overtime functions across other budgets as well are going up at a higher rate. What causes that? A dollar rate, a percentage rate.
I mean,
I'm not
it's,
suggesting they should be, you know, if compensation budget goes up by $1, overtime should go up by $1. But I'm mindful in my little world of using budget A to fix budget B. And this is going up at a higher rate.
They typically don't. This is the first year that I've seen this in a
Yeah.
while.
I mean, in this year's budget, communication usually doesn't go over their budget on overtime.
Bless their hearts.
This is actually the first year that they did. We had permanent part-time changes, which are covered shifts. I think I was talking about that earlier, is that our part-time line is down, underspent by 16,000, but our overtime is overspent by 16,000, so it kind of evened out.
Yep.
But if you look at communications total on their overtime line, let me look at it. They get 29,085, and we're only asking to go 32,639.
I got it. So
So you're only looking at like
the
3,000.
part-time line, which is a head count,
Yeah.
we're substituting overtime for head count. That's what we're doing. Okay.
We try to fill these in with the part-timers, but part-timers usually have other jobs, and they only can work when it's available.
Remembering this is a 24-hour operation.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to understand
Yeah.
why. We're substituting overtime for head count.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
But may I, for the percentage, if the salary is going up 7.86, if you take that times 1.5, which is your overtime rate, you're going up almost 12%.
But actually, the salary's only going 3.5.
Not in this budget. Not what you're seeing here.
Yeah.
As far as town overall, yes, that's all they're getting in a raise, but, so it's, that raises up that's 1.5% more than the
Thanks for
7.86
that,
that you
Casey.
point.
I appreciate it.
Captain, when are you guys moving to the hospital?
So we're hoping to do it sometime after March.
Is there gonna be enough money in your overtime to cover that move for the people to hook everything up and do all that stuff?
I cover it. So when they go down to training, I cover.
I mean, just the wiring and setting everything up, I imagine you're gonna have a little overtime use in there, aren't you? No?
No,
Is that-
it shouldn't be anything. Well, it's-
That's in the contract,
Because
right?
Yeah, so when they
We
go,
don't have to do that.
they'll take it out, we'll use Carol for a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
They'll go over there, set it up, get it all ready to go, and then we'll start the same normal operation.
Okay, will our guys go up to Cal County, or will they just be off doing something else?
I would have to see how that plays out. We've never
Okay.
done that before.
Okay,
They might all have a day off that day,
well, that's good.
and then that would be their day off for that week.
Other compensation, the compensatory time buyout, what is that?
So that's their comp time buyouts in their contract.
So when do they
So
they
they-
sell the time back to the
December
town?
15th, usually halfway, December 15th, around that ballpark. We
It's
try.
like the first week of December.
Is
How
that
much
just
time
for
can
the
they buy?
dispatches?
It's dispatchers and officers. They
Okay.
get their comp buyout.
How much can they buy? The whole line?
40 hours.
40 hours?
40 hours.
It is
Can they
each.
bank?
Yeah. Well, they can't bank it to the next year. They bank it for the whole year. So you do save someone.
And that's why we see it.
And dispatch is very good at it, so they'll actually work an overtime shift and then comp it for 8 hours, and then actually use the 8 hours for vacation, then somebody else will
Sure.
take the shift and then comp it. So they're pretty good at doing it.
Yeah.
And manage it.
They manage it very well.
But you can't have a bank going year over year. Right?
No, they don't. They get by, that's where it gets bought out at the end of the year.
And not everyone does it.
And not everybody does it.
Okay, so
It's kind of like an estimate we're trying to figure out based on previous the 5-year average.
we're all good at the 100 series, 200?
And is it zeroing out of the 260 line and the unemployment comp line, is that picked up someplace else?
Yep, another change I made, everything will be
Bless
under
your heart.
general government.
You did that for every department?
Yes, and again, it's under general fund, has their own personnel, administration, water, sewer, and electric have their own.
The enterprise funds. Now, Pop Whalen have their own?
Yes.
So if that was included in the budget would be higher than what we're looking at now, correct?
That's correct, but I think I've been doing this, I think 3 years.
Okay.
Might be 2, but I think 3.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
It'll be higher, but the challenge, I think, John, is how in the name of good God's graces can they forecast
Right.
that stuff, right? So it's held at the at the head department.
Well, I think the finance department always would have
Right.
forecasted it for them,
Yeah.
but they would get the favorability
One
or
bad
get
guy.
hurt.
Take a good
If,
person
you
and a
know, a
bad one.
family plan was taken over by a single plan. So in the gross, you know, it's in the admin piece, not in each function,
Yep.
not just police.
Okay, 300 series,
Can we talk about that?
I got a question for you.
yeah.
Can we talk about that?
So the 341 line, unfortunately,
Which one was
that line usually, it's our telephones and internet. So it has gone up tremendously, and we usually don't increase that. We kind of work with the town on how that gets done. and
We don't manage it.
We don't really manage that.
We don't see the bills.
I don't see the bills and
What do
how
you
it
mean,
gets paid out.
341?
Mm-hmm.
So the select board was very generous to give us $1,000, but it's still gonna be
Underfunded.
underfunded.
We're always generous.
That's what I heard.
Always, Linda, always.
But it's still gonna be underfunded, unfortunately. Right now, we're at 8,000,
8819, 8820.
Can I just ask a question about that, John?
Yes, go ahead.
So inside that communications line, is that, that's your internet access, all that fun stuff you have? Is that also your remote connections to your cameras?
No.
no,
Where does that get picked up?
IT?
I
Yeah,
That's from you guys.
don't know, we don't pay that bill.
we don't pay that bill.
So this is just internet access?
This is internet and telephones.
Copper phone, copper lines.
This is just bringing the pipes in and having a phone?
Yeah, saying hello.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now, we're underspent, overspent in that line, sorry about that.
We're under budgeted.
And we're under budgeted. So that's the 341 line. Let me just find it here. So we're at, year-to-date, 9,873.
Where do you think you're gonna be?
So we have one more month left, because I think November got taken out.
Mm-hmm. So we need.
So we gonna be
Not many.
676 plus 380. So we need another 1,056, which will give this to 987, 393. So we should be at 10,929.93. That's what we need to be at.
So you're at 8,800 at the end of October, you figure another,
No, it's 98
It's-
at the end of November.
It's 9,873.93 at the end of November. I got an up-to-date one right
What he's
here.
looking at is October.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, so you're going up 1,100,000 December, you figure?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Roughly,
Okay.
yeah, 'cause that's what the bills are coming out at. It did have a jump for us, unfortunately, in August,
By $200.
by $200.
So let me make sure I get this right. So you asked, the
We
PD asked for
typically don't.
5760. You know your burn rate is 10,929.
No,
Did I get that wrong?
no, no.
We don't ask for it. It usually gets funded into there through the town, through the billing. Right?
We've never touched this line. We don't say we don't dictate what's in there because we don't see the bills. And so typically when it's budget time and we hand our budget off, we say, okay, go
Got it.
ahead and put in whatever that number is for us. 'cause
So your
we
burn
don't-
rate's 10,929 and you got funded at 6760.
Yes.
Can I just,
We had an increase.
Congratulations.
what they said is correct, but we're trying to shift it back to them. I don't know, you know what I mean, like that was the old practice.
Right.
We can agree on this, that,
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, I wasn't watching it and they weren't watching it, so, you know, but finance used to put this number in, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And they
And
just did
finance
it.
hasn't been putting this number in.
And I'm
so-
not asking for the, who shot Cock Robin here.
No.
I'm just trying to figure out,
Right.
you got a 10,929 burn rate and you're funded at 6760.
That is correct.
Are you gonna raise it for?
I'm not done yet. We've got more to talk about.
So this year, there's been an increase in in what they've been billing us too, so there was an increase on top of that too.
But
right?
you did admit we need to look at
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
if we
Bobby,
have
go
a
ahead.
problem, we need to fix.
I'm
This is
sorry,
what we
could you
Bobby, go
educate
ahead.
me on everything that covers? The
The
communication covers?
Telephone,
And then-
copper
internet.
lines, and internet.
So what will happen when you move over to the hospital? in April.
Same thing, it
With
basically
this.
comes from our building over to their building.
So this will stay with you?
Say,
John,
Yes, sir.
are you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all right. Okay, so back to PD 341.
Different.
You budgeted 12,110,
Right.
and as of the end of October, now maybe you know the end of November, at the end of October, you're at 874081. And where are you at the end of November?
9744.
What's that?
$9,744.
And you're budgeting 12,110.
Yep.
Can you squirrel some money out of PD into?
So for that line in the PD, it doesn't cover the phones for the office phones. That covers our MDT coverage
Okay.
and then our cell phones. So different phones.
So Catherine, that kind of clears out what you were talking about, right? You can't mix the two?
I'm sorry, Bob.
Okay, well, maybe I just said it wrong, I don't know.
Can't they? I mean, they can take money out of budget A, but put it in budget B.
Yeah,
Okay, anything else on 300 series?
well, should we raise this?
But what he is saying is your run rate for police is probably 2K favorable maybe,
Right,
and this one is,
But we're also,
5,000.
we're behind, like we're a month behind the way the Verizon bills come. So like January comes and we get in
Yeah.
January get the last bill for December. So we're already a month behind.
what I was trying to say is it looked like you might come in a little under on the PD and.
Balances out.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if we could go halfway between 6,760 and 10,923.
And Bob, I mean, the way I look at this is, I mean, they're showing the actuals. This team is showing how they wanna fund it, so there's something.
Right.
And my, you know, thanks for doing the PD side of it. My sense would be, don't touch this. Motion the general fund get changed, and then let those people figure out what to do.
but it's in,
Give the general fund a couple $1,000s more at their bottom line, and let them figure out how to square their budgets.
they are part of general fund, and
That's right.
if we discover the issue, they get the money. You know?
Motion, move line 341 up by $2,000.
Second.
I was trying to make it easy for people.
Well, you're talking about 341 in communication,
Correct.
okay, and you're jacking it up 2,000, okay, thank you.
I'm
Any
sorry,
more
does that
discussion?
2,000 still put you under?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you gotta find out, so you
Gets
gotta find something.
closer.
PD side of the budget should balance out a little bit. This is gonna still be a little bit under.
Trying to keep the budgets accurate for each department.
Right.
Just
hopefully
doesn't
with
do
the
it
new
that way
building
if
we
you're
can get
relying
some-
on
Yeah,
another
we're-
department.
He's gonna go find, they're gonna go find $1,500.
Yeah, we are.
Computer.
Mia was saying that.
They're
It's
gonna
right
find
now.
$1,500.
Yeah.
So we're also planning on getting some efficiencies with the new building, so thank you for the $2,000.
Thank you. Yeah, it gets us
Oh,
closer.
oh,
We haven't voted on it yet.
They didn't vote.
I have a question
Go
before
ahead,
we
Bobby.
before we go. I'm a little confused why this isn't, the whole town doesn't have
An
the
IT budget.
agreement.
Well,
Why
the
is
whole
this-
town almost does, except for them and fire and library, because they're, and MED, because they are doing this whole new construction, so it was
Okay.
intentionally left out, because, and then we didn't know what was gonna happen, so they are gonna have to address their phone issues down the line. MED decided to be out, and library was on its own anyways. So I did, this year, right, was it this year or last year? We did upgrade the town hall, which was town hall, public works, parks and rec.
All the non-critical services received internet, telephone services. The critical services needed copper for emergency purposes. So this building over here has copper, MED has copper.
So Bobby, that, your question, the reason I wanted to do the general fund as opposed to their budget was to try to help that get sorted, but that's okay. So it's a motion on the table to raise your budget by $2,000.
Any other questions?
I do. What
Yes.
is the full amount again?
Did you have it?
That you're off?
A little less than $11,000.
10,
Yes,
9,
thank
Yeah,
change.
it
If
should
you
be,
raise this one 3 and took the police down by 1, they'd all be even.
Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor, let's
Sure.
not.
7.
There's enough.
Any other discussion?
So if we raise it.
Okay, the motion is to raise line 341 in the communications budget by $2,000, which would be $8,760. This will be a roll call vote.
Bobby Woodman,
Yes.
Bob Tuffer,
Yes.
John McDonald.
Yes.
Bob Mulholland.
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes,
Tom Bell,
Yes.
Paul O'Brien.
Yes.
Ryan Shake.
Thank you.
Abstain.
So,
Thank you.
901.
Okay. Okay, 400 series,
I'm sorry, I'd like to make another motion. Tell me the full amount again. What are we off by now?
we're off by $2,169.93.
That we need more.
On line 341?
Yeah.
Bringing us up to what amount? 11,000 what?
10,
Just under 11,000.
10,929.03.
Okay, so 930.
what's your motion, Bobby?
My motion is to make that line $10,930, so the taxpayers know what we're paying for.
Is there any second?
I'll second. But
How much is that?
Just so we can go through the motion.
$2,170.
2,000.
you just have a question.
Go ahead.
Is there a variable in that charge anywhere monthly? I mean, is this going up because Verizon rates have gone up?
I wish I had a really good answer for you. This is the first time that I've had eyes on this invoice because I don't see it each month. And what I did notice is, yes, some of the cents, like $1.44, some of those are variable.
Is this Breeze Line or is this
No,
First Light?
this is First Light.
So it's First Light.
Yeah.
So First Light's providing a series of services that could be from, itty bitty internet access to big fat wide internet access. Somewhere in there, somebody has to tell you whether you're buying itty bitty internet access, a big fat wide internet access, and some smart person could write down how much usage you got and you could figure out what the bill could be.
We don't know, we don't
usage.
know why it
Yeah.
changed in whatever month you said. And we have not had a chance to look at it in the last 2 weeks or whenever we last discussed it. We admit that there's something wrong, we don't have an answer. The run rate is looking like it should be this $11,000, we don't know. Are they being mischarged? Is it a wrong charge? What changed? We need to figure
But
out.
that will be investigated.
Correct.
That is,
And if you don't have this service, our emergency services
have
are
to.
going
no,
off.
it would get paid even if you zeroed this line out. It's going to
But the
get paid.
taxpayers should know where our money goes.
The goal in '25 is to upgrade the phone systems like the town did and.
And see a
and
decrease.
see a decrease. Should be a good decrease.
Before you vote on that, communication maintenance, doesn't show that you spend any money on that, the $2,900.
Where's that going?
Because they went and bought 2 computers for the dispatch center.
Dispatchers, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not normal.
I like robust. I like
Robust.
how you said that.
Robust. 2
When were
very
those- When were
robust.
those bought?
When were they bought?
Last
The
month.
PO was done
Yeah,
last month.
Yeah.
Yep, they're on order.
Because it doesn't show anything, it shows zero money
Well-
on that thing.
That is correct, but they did. The PO went by.
I tried to use that number.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the full amount?
I
No,
think
that
it
was 4,000.
$4,384.80.
Yeah.
Casey added a computer hardware line so that it shows exactly.
So they're not putting 2 brand-new hardware computers in a maintenance line. It's gonna show that it's 2 computers, it's computer hardware.
John,
Yes, sir.
on the motion, just the fact that Casey says this requires further investigation, I will be voting no on this.
Gee, Bob.
What needs to be investigated?
Casey just mentioned it.
The billing?
And I'm probably where Bob is on this, if you don't mind. I don't know whether First Light has sold you 1 gigabit symmetrical internet service, or whether they sold you half a gigabit. I have no idea what you bought, and I'm not suggesting that, there's any ballyhoo here. But it's a simple matter of you ask your vendor, given this amount of capacity, given this amount of usage, what do I need? It's entirely possible that you got the platinum. And again, we're only talking $120 a month. We're not,
What?
what her motion would fix is the gap of like $120 a month. Right? I'd say do the hard work and ask, what am I getting?
I'll withdraw my motion as long as we can. I'd like to change my motion to we revisit this.
I'll agree to that.
Okay.
First place I'd look is ask them what they're charging you for a modem.
We can handle what to do if we find the time to do it, so.
Thank you.
Do you want us to revisit this, or do you want to keep it what it's at?
Don't put a budget in.
You want to come back here for another?
Disclosure disclaimer. I don't want them to.
Are we coming back here at all? If I don't have to come back and revisit, it's nice, but
Are you happy with what you got for money there now?
Yeah.
We come in.
Yes,
I'm just happy you gave us one.
yeah.
can make it work.
We're really happy. We'll figure it out.
Yes, we
So
will.
they're happy
We'll
with
figure
Gave
it
us
out.
money, you didn't take it away.
And
So
Brian?
stick with the original motion?
Yes, I believe Bobby withdrew her
Yeah, we
motion.
voted on
Yes.
the original one.
I second.
Unless you'd like to revisit that.
And they withdrew the revisit. We promised we
I told you
would
to
figure it
go
out.
home quick.
Come again.
So you currently have $8,760. Let's move on. 400 series,
Tell you this, or wearing you down.
600 series. 700 series.
So I won't miss you. Okay.
Just for future thought, the new building, you're gonna need a lot of new furniture and stuff like that, or what's your, what are you thinking?
Where's the furniture budget?
There's some desks that we're gonna need, there's some built-ins, we're trying to do a lot of built-ins with the building.
Okay.
That's the goal, and a lot of those officers can have built-ins. I mean, some like the chiefs and the captains and Sherry's would need desks, but I think we can transfer some of the desks
A lot
that
of
we
the
do
stuff.
have. That's what we're gonna try to do,
Okay.
as much as possible.
Repurpose.
Repurpose, that's the perfect word for it.
Okay, 700 series. 800. And the new total for the communications is 570,670. That sound right, Casey?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Move on to, I think it's animal control. Okay, 100 series. We don't, do they have their own phone? Do we provide them a phone or anything?
We did. A
Wait.
cell phone.
What's that?
A cell phone.
So where is that? We have this phone stipend is blank, that's what I was wondering.
It's not here.
Yeah, he used to get a phone stipend.
I don't think we do.
And they actually, Casey changed the phone stipend where that comes out of too. Like
I
it's,
did.
yeah, now it's in with our worksheets. Like where our stipends are, like the
No,
one,
it's
like
still,
the.
the worksheets all go up into,
There's
it's
no
not,
stipend.
There's no stipend.
Yeah, so they don't get it, but you did change how
Yeah,
that.
there's no stipend for it.
this
Animal
person does
control.
not get a stipend. I don't know if previous
'Cause they
did,
get
but this
stipend.
person.
How do you
does
get a
not.
hold of them?
They
We
get a cell
supply,
phone.
yeah, they have a cell phone.
They have their department of cell phone.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's taken care of in the police department section for phones?
Yeah, I just didn't.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay.
Yeah, with all the other cell phones.
Okey-doke. Okay, 200 series. 300 series.
What was the big expense and,
All wins.
what was that, 40 grand? What was that all about?
About your idea.
Yeah, it was the animal cruelty case that we had. It was actually a little bit more than that, but I put a grant out there for agriculture. I just gave them a call because they review it quarterly for the $39,000 to get back from the state. And they reviewed it. I'm waiting for an email to get the approval. It looks like we're gonna get the approval, so we'll get that money back.
Oh, good.
Again, it'll be a gross appropriation, that 40's gonna stay there, and the
That's
revenue's gonna come in over here
On the gross revenue line.
in the revenue line. But we will gross up their budget, but this still is the expense for the year.
Thank you, Casey.
Okay, 600 series, 700 series, 800 series. Okay, total for animal control is $27,124.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
crazy question, but if you get $39,000 back on that animal control case, can any of that be put to any other place that we've just cut, or is that,
I think we need that to pay back money that we've already paid out.
okay?
That's correct.
The taxpayers get credit because it goes into the revenue and wipes out the expense, but they're in two, one's a revenue, one's an expense.
I see.
And even if we don't get it before the end of the year, you won't see me gross up the budget, but it is still favorable to the taxpayers because it was unanticipated revenue. But
Thank
it's
you.
netting against the expense.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
What
Steve.
was your final total, base budget, was it 21,700?
No, it's 27,124.
I'm sorry, one more time?
27,124.
No, on the police budget, the total after the $25,000.
Kate, did you have that right there?
So it's 2170306. That, the police
Okay,
department
those
is
two.
down 25,000, and then the dispatch is up 2,000, and no motions were made against animal control.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have some capital stuff in there?
Nope.
Nothing?
There will be a cruiser warrant article.
Warrant article, yes.
Okay. Have we missed anything?
I do not believe so.
Okay. You gentlemen have anything else you want to talk to us about?
Can we get the 25 grand?
You sit there all night, all smiles, and then you say that to me. You know, you guys can do whatever you, I just, you know what I mean? Just-
And we have no revisit, right?
What's that?
We have no revisit, right?
No.
That's correct.
You're done.
Nothing I'm aware of.
But from an administrative, as soon as you can let me know where to cut, so I can,
I'll get it.
and if it happens to be payroll, it'll be the taxes.
Yep.
You folks all set, thank you very much, have a great Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
I'd say that was pretty fast. I was like, wow.
Thank you.
Did everyone receive their minutes?
Good night, Chief.
So it's interesting, so the hospital fully loaded officers,
12,000, but that's 120.
Okay, we're just gonna go through some minutes real quick.
Oh, I think they do $60 an hour. Is that kind of what it turns out to be?
Any changes to the October 24th minutes?
Okay, I think the meeting is still going, I think the meeting is still going on.
We're gonna do the minutes real quick, 10:24. Any changes?
And I'm trying to open this, 1024, we talked about Bridge Falls Path.
No.
Okay, sorry. No.
No.
I was sick then.
I got nothing, John.
Okay,
That was the 14th.
can I get a motion to accept 10:24, 2030, 2023?
Motion to accept those minutes.
And second? Okay.
Getting tired.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes as written for 10/24/2023, please say aye.
Aye.
I need to
Opposed?
abstain, I wasn't here.
Motion passes. November 8th,
I'm getting tired.
I got nothing.
anyone have any changes for November 8th?
Yeah, is that the one, I'm trying to open my email? Rich Paul's
No,
question?
that's the 14th.
14, thank you.
Any changes on November 8th? Okay, get a motion to accept. the
Motion to
minutes?
accept.
And second, okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of November 8th as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have to abstain.
Okay, Ryan abstains. November 14th.
Paul, what's your change?
I don't think I had any changes for the November. I think I had asked the question, is there gonna be, I think there was a question about Bridge Falls Path. I said, is there gonna be a camera on it? The sentence was truncated, it just stops halfway through.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
Season or something?
I got nothing.
With that, I move to approve.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a first and second.
Second.
Any changes to those minutes?
Nope.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of November 14th, 2023 as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Tom, Bell, you abstain?
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Okay. Town manager, you have anything? Board of Selectmen, representatives, anything?
Nope.
I just want to say happy Thanksgiving and thank you for no meetings next week. Did anyone say that yet?
You
Oh,
did.
you didn't ask me, but that's.
No, nothing.
I'll follow up with Casey. I want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, sorry, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Move to adjourn.
I'm just
I
tired.
do a motion to adjourn from somebody?
Second.
You're not allowed to second. Second to adjourn? All those in favor say aye.
Vehicle that we left.
Motion carries.